that's why I try to be supportive when friends take an active interest in hobbies that I've taken up recently. Because unlike my brothers, they're not actively trying to steal my thunder, and I gotta try and remind myself of that constantly, because I've got this horrible, petty little green-eyed monster in my head who's like trying to steal your accolades and your attention. You know? As well, when you spend 20 years of your life fighting for every little scrap of attention you get, any praise, anything from not just your parents, but from anyone you're related to, even from your friends, it gets to you, and you get this sort of mentality that everyone's out to steal your success, to steal the credit for what you have put so much work into. Like welding. I took up an interest in welding when I was really young, but I wasn't allowed to work with the welders between age 10 and like 15 because, well, I was, one, a girl, and two, I was too small. So, yeah. And it was dangerous, and I'm not saying that it wasn't. Welding is dangerous. Welding's very dangerous. But I didn't get to learn to weld by anything other than peeking in on my dad periodically when he was working on shop projects at my grandfather's house, until I was in my late teens when I took metal shop. And then all of a sudden my brothers take up an interest, and they're not nearly as good at it as I am, but who gets the praise? Who gets, oh my gosh, you're so talented, oh, could you help me with this weld? Not me. Not me. And I put all that work into learning it, too. See, that's the thing, is I learned a lot of really awesome, useful skills. I know how to do all sorts of shit. Minor woodworking, I can do home repairs. I'm not very good with electrical wires or anything, but I know how to build walls, and paint, and mount drywall, and how to hunt for a stud in a wall, and change a tire, and oil in a car. And I know all of this crazy knowledge and skills that I don't use regularly, but if it comes up, I can do it. I'm useful. And I suppose I could bitch that fact being that I learned all this stuff as an effort to impress my parents, that I wasted a lot of time. You could say I wasted all this time learning all this stuff and there was no point. But like I said, I'm incredibly useful now, and I have friends who appreciate just how useful I am. Unlike the people I grew up around, who didn't appreciate me at all and made it quite clear on a daily basis. In fact, some of them even went out of their way on a daily basis, it seemed, to tell me just how little they appreciated my presence. And that sort of shit wears on you. It's really hard to explain to people without sounding like a big whiny crybaby, basically. Because, yeah, we all got our sob stories, and I don't like sounding like a big sob story crybaby. But, you know, shit wasn't easy. And, you know, I'm a really strong person, but also, like all strong people and all funny people, what's really happening a lot of the time is we're crying inside. Because we're in pain. And we make light and laugh and joke as a coping mechanism, because you gotta laugh or you gotta die. Those are pretty much your options, I've found in life. You either laugh and make fun and make a crappy, shitty situation out of the shitty-ass hand you've been dealt. You turn it into something good as much as you can. Or, you know, I've been poor my whole life and I have found ways to do stuff that I was told I couldn't do because I didn't have any money. Well, I'm doing an internet show and I ain't got no money. Every piece of equipment I'm working off of was a gift to me, pretty much. My camera, my computer. Because I did something else for the person who gave it to me that they paid me back in a physical good, like a computer. I earned this computer by housekeeping and keeping a wonderful house and cooking and cleaning. My roommate gave this computer to me. The monitor's my own from high school. It's the only thing that survived and it's on its last legs. But, you know, don't let people tell you just because you're broke doesn't mean you can't do jack shit with your life. Because you can do a lot of shit when you're broke. Especially like here in PDX, in Portland, there's free boxes. And if you're clever and you're crafty, you can do so much neat DIY shit. You can get craft supplies. You can get stuff, all the supplies you need, so to the point where all you gotta do is like buy needles and thread or glue, and those are cheap. You know, and you can make some really neat shit. I do it all the time. I recycle old clothes, I recycle scraps of stuff and little doodads and knobs and buttons and shit and turn it into neat art. And other useful shit. I make other useful shit out of stuff. I've got my tripod that I use for my camera is assembled from 2 tripods, and the top comes off and has a bottom because it's a binocular tripod. It screws onto the bottom, and you can set it on a table. And I use the tabletop one for when I'm doing shows most of the time, and I use the tall tripod when I'm shooting film around the house a lot of the time. But you can... You know, the poor tend to be really clever. Those who are broke, because we have to find a workaround. We don't have everything handed to us. We have to learn to work with what we have been given, whatever little bit that is. And we do. We learn. We adapt. Or we suffer. Or we suffer, I suppose. We suffer a lot anyway, but... You know, people are incredibly adaptable, and a lot of people tend to forget that. The human mind and the human person is a really amazingly adaptable creature. We really are. We can adapt to some pretty extreme situations. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about that for the moment. I've got a few messages from a friend. I'm going to catch up with him real quick, and then we'll come back and chat more about stuff. But yeah, that's that spiel out of the way. That'll be a fun little piece of history to slap up on Welcome to My Cell. Come in and know me better, man. Come in and listen to me bitch about how bitter I am about how poorly I was treated as a kid. Who doesn't have a story like that, you know? The thing I try to maintain is perspective. I try to keep perspective. Keep things in perspective. Perspective is important. No matter how bad I've got it, someone out there has got it worse, and, you know, I wish I could help them get a leg up, just like I wish the world could help me get a leg up, or at least help me get the, you know, psychological support that I need so I can become a better functioning member of society. That's one of the problems, is society turns around and spits on the people who are, you know, out there in the street, many of them because of psychological reasons or addictions which are caused by psychological damage. And, you know, if they would just help, if you would just provide your citizens with the medical needs, both physical medical and mental medical needs that they require, if you could just, you know, provide for that, like, you know, they do in civilized places like Europe, then maybe we wouldn't have such high rates of crime, high rates of poverty, high rates of people on the street. I'm not saying it's a cure-all, but it would sure be a leg up. And it would sure be one hell of an improvement over the system we've got now. Tell me I'm wrong. Look at how things work in Canada, Denmark, and other parts of Europe. I know Canada's not parts of Europe, but you get the idea. Other places where they have socialized medicine. And tell me, look me in the eye, and tell me shit doesn't run smoother there. Yeah, that's what I thought. You can't. Think about that, America.